Welcome to the first expert talk of Impact Direct. This expert talk is about ecological gardening and by Anthony Kowiti, working for COSDEP Kenya, and he's an agronomist by profession. He will tell you about the strategies that COSDEP has on ecological farming, helping small-scale farmers, and giving so many tips on how to make your own ecological manure, which is good for people and good for the climate. Have fun with listening to this expert talk.
I work for COSDEP, and COSDEP is Community Sustainable Development Empowerment Program. Focuses on ensuring continued learning and practice of ecological agriculture in rural communities for improved food and dietary conditions. So COSDEP main offices are located at Kiara Township in Kiambu County, that is in Kenya. And COSDEP was founded in the year 2001 as a CBO or as Farmers Training Program and became an NGO in the year 2004. So the overall purpose for the organization is to ensure continued learning, practice, and spread of ecological farming in rural communities for healthy living. It also promotes school-based gardening activities, also entrepreneurship and other cross-cutting interventions like health and water. So let's come back to the first slide. So ecological farming. Why ecological farming? First of all, ecological farming is an holistic approach of farming, just like organic, which regenerate ecosystem services. And that involves prevention of soil erosion, that is one. Two, it aids in water retention and infiltration, and also it aids in carbon sequestration, mostly humus, or in form of humus. Also, regenerative ecosystem also assists in the improvement of the biodiversity. Why do I say it prevents soil erosion? Ecological farming prevents soil erosion due to the techniques in it. For example, I'll talk of a few techniques, like we have zero tillage, we have got mulching, we have got crop rotation, we have got intercropping, we have got agroforestry. Let me talk of crop rotation. Crop rotation, this whereby you plant different type of crops in a farm, year out, year in. For instance, if this season you choose to plant maize, next season you will plant beans. Why? Because we know beans incorporate nitrogen into the soil in forms of nitrates due to the root nodules. So if we talk of another technique of ecological farming called mulching, because I said earlier, it prevents soil erosion. So mulching prevents soil erosion because it will cover the soil or the land where you are doing your farming. So during the surface runoff, just as cover crop, during the surface runoff, the topsoil will not be carried away or to the downstream if you talk of slopey areas. So as I said earlier, that just like organic, this project, we've been doing a project with the Impact Direct called Promoting Kitchen Gardening and Composting in the community. So I'm going to bring in organic farming because it complements what ecological farming or agriculture is. So what is organic farming? Organic farming is farming without using chemical fertilizers, pesticides, for healthy soils ecosystem, and people. Why are we discouraging the use of these chemical fertilizers and the pesticide? One, for our soils. So we should always keep our soil live. Living soil is good for crop production. It's good for any production. So if you use chemical fertilizers or pesticides, we have soil composition, whereby we have soil micronutrients, or not soil micronutrients, but soil microorganisms. So these microorganisms helps soil greatly, mostly by burrowing the soil, thereby increasing soil aeration, which is good for soil for soil sustainability. Another one for the ecosystem. In the ecosystem here, we talk of environment. If you spray the chemical chemical pesticide, it will cause a problem to the living organism in the environment. For example, we have useful pesticides or pests like or insects like bees. Bees assist in pollination, and if you use these pesticides made of chemicals, they will be killed or they will be burned away, and that by that we will not be maintaining our ecosystem or our environment. So another thing is that ecosystem will not be maintained because, for instance, as you spray, that pesticides will also get into the soil, thereby causing what we call adpan. Why adpan? As I said, healthy soils will contain soil microorganisms. So this soil microorganism assist in the making soil first of all, it makes the soil to retain more water. Second, it increases the water infiltration, or increases also water holding capacity or water retention. So if those factors are not considered, it will cause what we call adpan. And when there is adpan, you cannot produce any crop on your farm. Another one is people. By people, I mean the farmer himself or herself, also the people around the farm, all the neighbors around. By applying this chemical pesticides, it will affect, because this particle will be in the air, and it can cause breathing difficulties by breathing. And also, as people, if you, for instance, you spray the pesticides on the fruits, let me say fruit crops, let me say tomato, you maybe after application, the farmer will take the produce to the market, and the buyer will not know. The buyer will not know that these food crops was sprayed. The buyer will not know. So by that, the buyer will be able to consume this pesticide, but which might cause some health problem in the long run, like cancer. So that's why, as an organization, we encourage organic farming. The farmers we train so that they can continuously use available biopesticides or biofertilizers. And as I said earlier, those are some of the importance of organic farming. So as we continue, why organic farming? One is for good health. I've talked of consumers taking sprayed, for example, tomato or kales, which have been sprayed using this chemical pesticides, which are very hazardous to our health. So their health will not be okay. So if you produce your food through organic farming, you will be able to improve your health as a consumer. Another one is environmental friendly. I talked of ecosystem. The the aspect of environmental friendly is maintained and is encouraged by using biopesticide and biofertilizers, and not using chemical fertilizer, because these chemical fertilizers will cause in the long run will cause what we call soil adpan. It will kill all the useful microorganism in the soil, which is useful in the soil formation, and also useful in decomposition of nutrients in the soil. So that is another one. Another important is good for soil fertility. So why good for soil fertility? We have those techniques in organic farming, and these techniques are very important. We talk of biofertilizers and not chemical fertilizers. And these biofertilizers are very friendly to the microbes in the soil. They don't kill those useful microbes, unlike chemical fertilizer. So the fertility will be maintained in the long run. Another one, we have sustainability of the soil. Why sustainability? If you use organic farming, you will be able to produce more crops, more healthy crops, and you will not be able to add more nutrients as compared to the use of chemical fertilizers. Because for instance, if you take, for example, of compost manure as a method of composting, compost manure increases soil fertility by enhancing water holding capacity. That's one. A retention of nutrients, that's two, and also increases the activities of the microorganisms. So the sustainability of the soil in terms of nutrients will be maintained and also increased. So below are some of the techniques in the organic farming. As I said earlier, organic farming complements ecological farming. So they include composting. Composting, I can talk of example like compost manure. Instead of using chemical fertilizers, you can use compost manure. Also, prepared locally, so it's available to the farmer. The farmer will not use any money in getting the material to make the compost manure. Another one, we have kitchen gardening. So in terms of kitchen gardening, I brought the kitchen gardening because the project that Impact Direct supported was promoting kitchen gardening and composting in a community. So kitchen gardening, we have some of the techniques or activities under kitchen gardening, like we have use of raised beds, use of multi-story garden, use of portable garden like sack garden, which are very essential for the family use, not just depending on large farm production. So that again can be utilized using organic farming. Another one, we have vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is a new technique that uses, let me say, earthworm or such microorganisms in decomposing kitchen waste, so that you can get two products. One, you can get a vermicompost manure. This vermicompost manure is very rich in nitrogen and very good for even applying at the farm level. It increased the production. Another product that you can get from vermicomposting is vermi liquid or vermi urine. So this vermi urine is also rich in nitrogen, and it can be used as a foliar fertilizer. Apart from being used as a foliar fertilizer, it can also be used as a biopesticide. Another technique is called bokashi manure. So bokashi manure, and as a ecological farming is trying to incorporate the traditional way of farming and the new invention or new technology of today. So bokashi is one of the new technology of today, whereby it was introduced back then in India to supplement nutrients to the crops. So bokashi, I'm going to dwell on bokashi because there is a lot of effectiveness in its application from some research we've been doing with the farmers back at the community level. So that we have bokashi manure. Another one, we have biopesticide and biofertilizer. Biopesticides, these are just some natural remedies because we are discouraging the use of this chemical pesticide. Now we encourage farmers to use biopesticide. Biopesticide are very easy to prepare, and it does not need a farmer to buy any of the material in the preparation. So sample of biopesticide, you can use garlic, you can use Tithonia diversifolia, and also you can use onions, or you can use hot pepper in the preparation. You just prepare a concoction of that, and then you spray against pesticides. And also biofertilizer. Biofertilizer, I'll talk about that again in detail. We have what we call the supermagro. I'll talk about that as we continue. Let me move to another slide. Okay. So the next slide is bokashi manure. So I'll focus in detail about bokashi manure because of its effectiveness that we saw on the farmers using it at the community level. So first of all, bokashi manure is a fermented manure used for soil amendment. Why soil amendment? Bokashi, the material used in making bokashi is very rich in some of the nutrients that is very useful to the soil. And these are the ingredients for making bokashi. We have manure, we have soil, we have coffee husk. You can use rice husk or coffee husk, or if you don't have those, you can use sawdust. But it should be a sawdust not from eucalyptus tree. Why? Look, eucalyptus tree has some phenolic compounds which might cause problem to the crop. You know where eucalyptus is planted, you cannot see any plant thriving in that area because it takes a lot of water due to the deep root system. So another one, but if you have to use eucalyptus sawdust, you have to use a little of it. We have wheat bran, we have charcoal dust, we have ash, and we have molasses, we have yeast, and we have water. Let me explain why we use each one of these ingredients. Why manure? Manure acts as an inoculant for the microbes, and also it adds some minerals. Why do we use soil? And specifically, not just soil, but we use topsoil. We use topsoil because we would like to introduce the microbes, the local microbes, into the manure we are making. Coffee husk or sawdust. Why are we using sawdust or coffee husk? This is just to improve the texture of the manure or the structure of the manure. We have another one, wheat bran. Why wheat bran? Wheat bran acts as a food for microbes. And we have charcoal dust. Why charcoal dust? Charcoal dust increases the aeration because this process will undergo fermentation. So in the long run, we will like we like the aeration to continue as the process goes by. We have ash. We add ash to add some minerals, some useful minerals like potassium. We have molasses. Molasses is just to provide energy for the yeast. Yeast, we'll use yeast as a effective microbe, because yeast aids in the fermentation process too, and we'll add water. Why water? Water provide that effective medium for all process to take place. So the procedure of making bokashi, first you pour the sawdust, followed by soil, followed by manure, followed by wheat bran, followed by charcoal dust and ash, in that order. You can do this in a container or any shaded area. It has to be a space, an area whereby there's good air circulation. Another one, second procedure, you are supposed to mix water, molasses, and yeast to get a solution of that. This we'll use this to sprinkle on the materials that we added, we laid down earlier. As you sprinkle the water, make sure you mix slowly, but don't water excess. So you will repeat this procedure until all materials are used. Then after that, turn the mixture twice a day for 3 days. Then after turning it for 3 days, turn it once a day for 10 days. This, why are we turning? Because it's fermentation. We would like to reduce the temperature, that the heat level will be high. So as you turn twice a day for 3 days, we are trying to regulate the temperature. You do that for 10 days. And after doing that, after 10 days, you will wait another 15 days for bokashi to be ready. Then you will be able to apply it on your farm. So you should not keep the bokashi for more than 30 days, because the nutrients will not be of good use now. So another technique we have got supermagro. I say supermagro is a biofertilizer, and this is a procedure of making supermagro. We have fresh cow dung, because fresh cow dung is rich in nitrogen. We have yeast. Yeast is used in fermentation. We have molasses to provide energy and also food for yeast. We have water and fresh milk. Why fresh milk? Because it contains potassium and calcium. And the procedure for making this is first mix the cow dung with the water and sieve with a gunny bag to obtain that liquid fresh cow dung. You will obtain that liquid. Another second procedure, mix molasses. You can mix molasses, 2 liters of fresh milk, and add 4 tablespoons of yeast and stir well. After that, add the mixture to the cow dung liquid and stir until it mixed thoroughly. The next step is pour the mixture into 20 liters jerry can and seal the top. Why are we sealing the top? So that the fermentation process to continue. We don't want to allow oxygen to enter inside. You allow the liquid or the mixture to ferment for 30 days. Then the ratio for using is 1:20. If you take one liter of the supermagro foliar, you mix it with the 20 liters of water. And the application is very simple. Apply it on the leaves and on the stem. And we normally advise farmers not to apply during flowering stage, because it can cause abortion of the flowers. So that's all. Then I'll talk about kitchen gardening, because the project also focused on kitchen gardening. So kitchen garden is a component of organic farming that involves growing fruits, vegetables, You can also include herbs at a small area at home. And these are the forms of kitchen gardening. We have raised beds. A raised bed is just a small piece of land with this measurement. We have 6 meters by 1.5 meters raised. We have multi-story garden. You will see some of the photos of the multi-story garden. We have got portable gardens, and the example of the portable gardens, we have sack garden, and we have tire garden. We have mandala garden. Mandala garden, you will see a photo of it. We have Zypit. These are techniques which are very okay, and they are new techniques in the organic farming or ecological farming. And why kitchen gardening? The reason why we encourage our farmers to practice kitchen, to have kitchen garden at home is, one, it requires less space. It is easy to manage. Management here, we involve weeding, watering, and harvesting. Second, it saves money. That money that you could go and purchase any vegetable from the market, you can now save it because you will have your kitchen garden nearby the house. It also brings the aesthetic value. Well, if you go to most home with the kitchen gardens, it brings that beautification effect or effects of it. Another one, it is fresh. It provides fresh and healthy supply of vegetables. So farmer will not rely on just going to the market to get vegetables, so that he or she can put food on the table. So below are some pictures of what I've been talking about. You can see a heap of bokashi. This bokashi is ready for use. Also, you can see a vegetation compost heap. This compost, the good thing of compost that you can prepare it using locally available materials. Yes, also we have got vegetable harvested from kitchen garden. You can see spinach, you can see spider plant, and other indigenous vegetables. So this one was taken after our beneficiaries or our farmers have practiced or have planted vegetables at their kitchen garden, and they were able to see the results. On the other photo, you can see the vertical garden, or what I talked of as a multi-story garden. And on the multi-story garden or the vertical garden, you can see we planted the spinach with some kales, and besides you can see the sack garden. So these are some techniques for kitchen gardening. Any farmer can raise easily. Yes, this is what we call mandala garden. Just to give us a brief description of mandala garden. A mandala garden, as you can see from the picture, we have, first of all, you have a pit at the center. That pit, you fill it with some crop residues, some kitchen waste, and then you have that tunnel. That tunnel is just to allow water to get inside. And then around, you will have your small kitchen garden, and you can plant any plant, any crop. For instance, this one is kales. So from the pit, as those materials decompose, you will be able to spread them around the small kitchen or kitchen garden, or around that circle. Then we leave that entrance or that trench to allow water to seep in, because during dry season, it will be able to retain that water, and that water will be uniformly distributed to the root zones. So the farmer will at least have something to eat even during dry seasons. Another one is Zypit. So Zypit is also a new technique that we incorporated. So in preparation of a Zypit, you dig 2 feet deep, 2 feet wide. First of all, dig out the topsoil, put it aside, dig out the subsoil, put it aside, and you mix the topsoil with the manure. or compost manure. It can be compost manure, it can be bokashi. You mix it. After mixing it, you return it to the to that pit, halfly filled. Then water it nicely. Then you can transplant your vegetables. Like I can see, this is kales. Apart from kale, you can do you can plant maize. Imagine that that pit can accommodate 5 to 9 maize seedlings. So it's very effective, and it gives high yield, and it's also retain more water during dry season. It takes a small amount of water, or small volume of water. And let me just share a clip. These short clips was taken from one of the schools we worked with, and the project was called Promoting Organic Gardening. So we implemented some of the techniques, like you will see the raised beds and the multi-story, and the results was great. It gave a bump harvest. Let me share the clip. It's just a short clip. You can see these are the raised beds with the spinach. Yes, you can see the sack garden. That's a sack garden. You can see the multi-story. We planted the indigenous crops like amaranthus. You can see the cabbage. You can see spinach and kales. So these are some of the techniques which are very useful in kitchen gardening. And we always urge our farmers who do not have large tracts of land or large piece of land to adopt such. Yes, as we continue, lesson learned on kitchen gardening. So this lesson was just feedback from the farmers at the community level, and farmers were able to testify the effectiveness of bokashi manure over compost manure. Why? Bokashi manure, I said earlier, is used for soil amendment. And the nutrients, after its application, the nutrients are readily available for absorption by the crops. Unlike compost manure, which takes long time to decompose so that you can use it as a manure. One disadvantage of bokashi manure farmers noted was the material used to make this to make the bokashi manure sometimes expensive. Yeah, like yeast, you have to get yeast, you have to buy yeast. Like wheat bran, very expensive. So those are some of the challenges, but they really appreciate the effectiveness of bokashi over compost manure. Another feedback from the farmers that we learned, farmers were able to sell the surplus to the market and saving money. That small kitchen garden the farmer implemented, they were able to get enough for food and also surplus, excess. They sold at the market and they were able to save money. So that one was a positive impact about the project that we saw and about this technique on kitchen gardening. Another positive lesson learned was they were able to save money due to the use of biopesticide prepared locally to control pests and diseases from their kitchen garden. Yes, these farmers, before we trained them on organic farming or kitchen gardening, on how they can maintain these pests and diseases by preparing either biopesticide, they were getting chemical pesticide from the agrovets, which are very expensive. So through the training, after the training, they were able to make the biopesticide using local materials. I talked of Titonia, diversifolia, I talked of hot pepper, I talked of garlic. Also, I can add Mexican marigold to control such pests and diseases. Like Mexican marigold can control aphid as a pest, and also blight as a disease. So another lesson learned was these farmers were able to, one of the farmers attested that he was able to use a little amount of water to irrigate the farm because this farmer had a small portion of vegetable, more specifically kales. And since he was using compost manure enhances water holding capacity. So during dry season, this farmer was not able to use a lot of water in irrigating his farm. So this was very effective as compared to those farmers who are just using chemical fertilizers, which gradually, time by time, killing the soil, hence forming hard pan. So, and as I conclude my presentation, for more information about COSDEP, you can reach us on our social media platforms and website below. Facebook is just COSDEP Kenya, Twitter, COSDEP Kenya, LinkedIn, COSDEP Kenya, Instagram, same, COSDEP Kenya. And also our website is www.coskenya.com. I'm very grateful for the presentation, and I welcome questions. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yes, back to you, Marie.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I'm amazed by all the information that you gave. Yeah, it's an applause.
Thank you.
And now I'm sorry that I haven't introduced you more properly, because you are an agronomist, right, by profession?
Kindly assist me by removing the screen, the slide, or the presentation.
Can I do that? Yes. And so I want to, of course, open the floor for questions to Anthony. But I also want to do a small reminder. So this round is for questions, and the next round will be also for sharing your own expertise and experiences. So are there any questions on the presentation that Anthony just did?
Good afternoon from Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. In fact, I followed through your presentation. I think I like the way he has done the presentation. Congratulations, and I wish you the best for what you did. Now, with regards to the bokashi, I think I would like to know more about it later after we are done with the presentation, how we go about the mixing of the ingredients. You know, I'm interested. I wanted to know more about that. So that's what I wanted to let you know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Kevin, and that was a very nice presentation. Thank you for the info. I just have like one concern there. You can treat it as a question, as or a comment or whatever, a takeaway. Yeah? Do you also do agribusiness in such a way that you are also doing poultry and maybe feeding them with the black soldier fly, the larvae?
Yes, we do agree. We also train farmers on entrepreneurship, and that's part of it is agribusiness. Let me say this: we also train farmers on small livestock unit. That we have this project on training farmers on rabbit keeping and poultry keeping. And also through that, we are not directly involved in soldier fly project, but we train farmers. That's a good idea, we appreciate, but we train farmers on agribusiness. These skills, for instance, after farmers produce these vegetables, you have to help them in market. Huh? You know, vegetables produced organically are very expensive. and we normally help farmers to reach markets like Carrefour, where they can sell these products. We are also we have a market nearby area whereby farmers sell these organic products, and these organic products are very expensive. So those are consideration we normally help farmers so that they can have something in their pocket in long run. Yes. Yes, Calvin.
Thank you very much.
Wadera, thank you.
Yeah, Karibu. We are doing black soldier fly, so maybe we can do something in common, okay?
Sure. We can do that. Yeah, black soldier fly is very rich in nitrogen. Not nitrogen. I talk of protein. Very rich in protein, and it can help in feeding poultry. So we'll contact Calvin Odera. Thank you.
Karibu.
Okay, I have a question, Stanley, for you. You talked about the zai pits. I want to know, you said you first remove the topsoil and then you put now a mixture of manure. How long do you use that mixture? As in now, how many times do you plant in that mixture? Do you remove after some time, or do you just add in some more manure to the soil that you mixed in the pits?
Thank you. So zai pit preparation and sustainability is very key. Let me repeat the procedure. First of all, you dig a pit 2 feet deep and 2 feet wide. And you remove the topsoil, you put it aside. You remove the subsoil, you put it aside. After that, you mix the topsoil with the manure and then return it back to the pit. We are not interested in the subsoil. You return that into the pit, halfly filled. Why halfly filled? Halfly filled because in the as you continue planting or using the zai pit, you will be adding things like mulch. You will be adding more manure. So no need for removing those materials again. Then you refill with the new ones. No, the more you add the materials, the more the nutrients level increases, and the more the decomposition takes place, and the more water is being retained into that zai pit. Yes. You can use it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Anthony, there was, I see Richmond with raising hand, but also the question of Solomon that he started with. Like, can you tell a little bit more on how to mix the bokashi? That was the question, right, Solomon?
Yes. And one more thing is, please, the problem with vegetable production is pest control. And I checked from the presentation that you have this biopesticide, So I want you to throw more light on the biopesticide and then the bokashi. I'm interested to learn more about that one.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. So let me start with the biopesticide, then I come to bokashi. Organic farming is gradual, and it starts from the step 1, land preparation. How are you preparing your land as a farmer? So you still prepare your land early. Secondly, after planting or after transplanting your seedlings, you make sure you control weeds early or earlier, because weeds have a pest, might have those diseases, and that one you do that to not to use much biopesticide, or not to have more problem in controlling these pesticides, or not pesticide, but this pest or diseases. For instance, if I talk of example of a biopesticide, we have to, you prepare a concoction of Tithonia diversifolia, and you can mix it with a garlic, and you can mix it with hot pepper. Yes. So that concoction, you can prepare that concoction and you dilute it. You don't just apply it direct like that. It might cause scorching effect to the leaves of that vegetable. You can mix it in a ratio of 1 to 10, depending with the concentration. Yes, 1 concentration of the concoction. You dilute with 10 liters of water. Yes, and then you apply it. And during application, you make sure you apply in the morning or evening. Yes. For example, if you added mostly Mexican marigold and hot pepper, Tithonia, and the garlic, it controls this pest like aphids, whiteflies, and it's very effective. And also Mexican, in the process of controlling that pest, you will also be able to control this prone disease like late blight. Yes, early blight, it controls effectively. So remember, this biopesticide will be effective after doing early weeding, and you can also do mulching. So it's when it will be effective, or effectively controlled. Yes, that is part one. And these materials are found locally. As a organic farmer, you should have a site of, let me talk of live fence. You can, your live fence should be just Tithonia diversifolia. Yeah. And as a organic farmer, you should also have this hot pepper. You just plant them at your home or around your farm. Yes. We also have companion planting or companion cropping, whereby a farmer can intercrop or intercrop onions or coriander with these vegetables you are interested on. If it is kale, if it is spinach, because they have got some smell that distract this pests. Yes, you know, some pests also have diseases. So early preparation is very important. Let me talk about bokashi. So I talked of materials. As I said earlier, you first of all, in this order, you place the sawdust. I said earlier that if you don't have sawdust, you can use coffee husk. Sometimes coffee husk or rice husk might be expensive, and the farmer might only having a sawdust. But it should not be a sawdust from eucalyptus. You know the effect of eucalyptus in the crop, in the soil, I mean, yeah. So after pouring, you pour the sawdust on the ground, follow that with the soil, and then you pour the manure. After manure, you pour the wheat bran. After the wheat bran, you pour the charcoal dust, and then ash. You do this under a shade, and that shade area should be a place where there is air circulation, because the process will require that as it goes by. So after doing that, you will have a super drum, a white drum, where you will add water. After adding water, you will add molasses. I said molasses to provide energy, and also for yeast to function well, molasses has to be there. Then stir the mixture, then add yeast. After adding yeast, stir. But while stirring, if you choose clockwise, just use clockwise. But if you choose anti-clockwise, just use anti-clockwise. This is to prevent the movement of the yeast. Yeast, we use it as effective microbe in going in different direction to have the right liquid. Yes. After that, you will use a watering can. you will feel that that water. Let me tell you that liquid of molasses, yeast. You will pour that water into all that liquid into a watering can. Then you sprinkle on that mixture. You remember the mixture of sawdust, wheat bran, that mixture. As you sprinkle it, make sure you swirl using a spade so that it can mix thoroughly. But make sure you don't water. You overwater. You don't overwater. You should test the texture of that manure using your hand. It should not form like you know clay soil. It should not be like clay soil. It should if you hold it by using your hand, it should be able to, let me say, to split. It should be loose, not compact. Yes, that's the word. After that, you will continue with the procedure until all the materials you wanted to use are over. Then you turn the bokashi, that manure, you turn the bokashi manure twice a day, in the morning and in the evening for 3 days. Why are we turning? We are turning because if you use molasses and yeast, there will be a fermentation process. So you turn to reduce the temperature of the bokashi manure. In that process, after 3 days, if you go to that bokashi manure and insert your hand, you will find out that the bokashi manure is very hot. It can even hurt your hand, you know. So again, you turn once per day for 10 days, just to continue reducing the temperature of, or to reducing the heat of the bokashi. After 10 days, you leave the bokashi in that shaded area. It should not be rained on, and no sun should eat that bokashi manure. So after that, you leave it for 15 days, whereby it will be ready for use. And when using, you can use bokashi in planting. You can use it as a top dresser, but make sure as you apply it to each and every crop, it's very laborious in application because you have to apply to each and every crop. For instance, you want to apply to a kale, one seedling of a kale. You make sure around the root, you remove a small amount of soil. You add the bokashi around, just a handful of bokashi. That's enough. Then you close it with lightly using that soil. It will after 2 weeks or also, you will start seeing changes on your plant, on your crop. And it will be very green, and you will have a good harvest at the end of the harvest. Yes, that's what I can say. For more information, I can share the notes with you, or we can have or you can visit our Facebook. We have some videos there whereby we are training farmers physically on how to make bokashi. Thank you.
I will share the link. I think it was Richmond who raised his hand first. Richmond, do you still have a question?
No, thank you. I want to ask about the pest control, which my colleague already asked, so I'm fine. Thank you.
And then it was Jonathan. Jonathan, did you still have a question?
Yeah, no, I don't really have a question. It was just a very small inquiry based on the presentation from Stanley, which is very, it was very good, but it was a little bit technical, and I think it's easy for agronomists to quickly understand it, unlike people who are not agronomists or maybe technically in agriculture. So I was curious because I have farmers in my place, and I was a little bit jealous that if they know about bokashi, it would be very, very helpful. But then they are speaking Swahili. So I wanted to ask Stanley, is it possible to plan a meeting like, deliver this wonderful presentation to local people and in Swahili. Just like the arrangement between me and you, is that something you think you can spare for like 1 hour or 1.5 hours?
Yes. We can. We also do consultancy services as COSDEP as an organization, and that one will be very possible. I know Kiswahili. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Stanley.
And then I saw Gatwal asking a question in the chat on cost effectiveness. Where was it? I do have a question regarding challenges of making compost. What kind of challenges have you faced regarding cost effectiveness? I've seen your hand, William. Is that something that you can answer, Anthony?
On cost.
Yes, I have a question to ask.
1 second, Hudson. I think it's Hudson. I can't see. Oh yeah, you will get to you in a bit.
Okay, all right.
Is there something that you could say on cost effectiveness, Anthony?
Yes. I'll say making compost manure is very cost effective because materials for making compost are readily available. For instance, we have rough materials. These rough materials might be some grasses, might be maize stalks, any stalk. Make sure that these materials are mostly materials from that can add nitrogen. Like we have some nitrogenous trees, like you can add the leaves of Sesbania sesban, the leaves of Tephrosia, and it normally depends with the number of materials you are using. For example, the carbon rates should be high. Which are crops that provide carbon? I talked of rootstock. I talked of millet. Let me say millet, sorghum, maize. Those are material that provides more carbon, and carbon provide more humus in the soil, which are very great for as organic matter is concerned. So we normally have a simple acronym for making compost manure. If you can allow me, it's called Dr. Maina. Dr. Maina told Grace all the words. So each and every initial words represent a material used to make compost manure. One, Dr. Maina, D represent dry materials. These dry materials might be, I talk of grass, I talked of those leafy vegetables which are dry. Maina means manure. After putting that first layer, you add manure. This manure can be compost manure. Yes. Why are we adding this compost manure? To introduce those microbes or microorganisms which will aid in the decomposition process of the compost manure. Another one, we add topsoil. After adding manure, you add topsoil. Why adding topsoil? To introduce those local microorganisms into the soil, also to aid in decomposition process. After that, you add green materials. Green materials, you can add things, the leaves of Sesbania, the leaves of Tephrosia, or such, or the leaf of any useful crop. After that, you add ash. You know ash. Ash we add because it will add some potassium and calcium in it. Yes, because we, at the end of the day, why are we making this compost manure? So that at the end of the day, we have manure that contain all the elements which are useful for the nutrients elements which are useful for these crops after its application. After adding ash, you add again topsoil to introduce those local microbes. After adding that, you will water. You will water. Why are we water? Watering enhances those activities of microorganisms, and water has oxygen in it, which will enhance also aeration. You make sure as you prepare this compost manure, you make sure you prepare it in a raised area where there will be no waterlogging, because the manure will be left for 2 to 3 months so that to be ready, you know. And also you should shade all the top where the bokashi, the compost manure is, I mean. Yes, you can do that by putting some iron sheet or mabati to cover it. Very important. Yes, so I've not mentioned anything that I bought from anywhere in the market. So it's very cost effective because the material are just within the farm. And make sure the ash is not from eucalyptus. That one, don't forget. The ash will be from any other plant, but not eucalyptus ash. Thank you. Life to say is that, you know, a farmer who have been using pesticide, or let me say this chemical fertilizer and pesticide for a long time, they won't incorporate just agriculture once. It is gradual, slowly by slowly, slowly by slowly. So that's, I just want us to encourage each other that when dealing with those farmers, let's do some thorough follow-ups, and so that in case of any problem arise, let's just encourage them to utilize these organic techniques in the food production. Yeah, it will be very helpful, and not only that, also to the climate. And as we train these farmers, you know, organic farming, not just using these techniques, we also encourage farmers to have these small livestock, like poultry. Poultry manure is very useful manure in farming. We have rabbit. Rabbit manure is very useful in the crop production. Rabbit also give us urine. That urine is a foliar, and also can also act as a biopesticide, which is very useful. So these farmers will not go and get materials, source materials from even neighbors. They will have those materials intact at their farms, which is very effective.